All right, welcome back into a new episode of the Glue Guys. I'm Landen Lucas. That's Richard Lucas, and yet again, we're here celebrating what was easy start to finish win for the Kansas Jayhawks. It's been a good couple weeks. A good, there's not been those the down episodes where we've been, oh, this team, I don't know. There's only been one so far after the Tennessee game, but these last two games, feeling pretty good as a Kansas fan.
Why does it seem like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop or something?
Yeah.
Something just seems just because these are good teams,
Mhm.
really good teams, but they've been blowing it out.
Yeah.
And it's right from the very beginning. It wasn't like there was even
Mhm.
any cause for concern at all.
Yeah.
It just why does something just why am I just paranoid
Yeah,
or
you might be, but I think it's for good reason because it's a long season. And as you know, and I know very well, there are going to be those episodes where we come on here. It's like, I don't know.
right?
So that's
Yeah.
coming still.
There's
But
a Tuesday night against West Virginia on the road or
exactly.
something, and you're gonna be
That,
like, "Whoa, we look
mhm.
terrible."
Yep. That's still to come. But I was able to make it out for the game after busting, unfortunately, the tournament that I was playing, the poker tournament I was in Vegas. I immediately got back, packed up, got on the road, and flew out to Lawrence, Kansas for the first time in I think it's been almost 4 years now.
Wow.
And I brought the two little ones, so it was a tough trip, a 14-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I was by myself. But
Which one was worse? What was it harder with the
yeah,
14-year-old or the 2-year-old?
no, definitely the 2-year-old. It was actually kind of helpful having her around to
I
kind of
bet.
assist a little bit. But what a great trip it was. And I want to start off this show by talking a little bit about it because I think it's such a unique situation. Being a former Kansas player and the way that they welcome you back. I mean, from the moment we arrived on campus, it's just, red carpet that they lay out for you. We're able to stay in the McCarthy Hall where I stayed as a player and all the players currently stay. They have the movie room, the gym, barbershop, all that stuff there. And it's just so cool because now I'm able to take the kids and stay in the room with all the Kansas stuff. They were loving being able to be a part of that, being a part of the practice that we saw, the shoot arounds, even the pregame meals and stuff. And so to be welcomed back like that, and then obviously just all the fans, all the love that you feel coming back. I have to believe that it's not like that at many places. And and I'm so fortunate to, be a Kansas alum and be able to go back and experience all that and to take, the little ones along with me was even better because I kind of know what to expect and whatnot. But, to have them be able to see all that and the love that they got as well from the fans and the staff and the former tutors and teachers, everything that we got to see.
Right.
It's quite the experience. And, I feel very honored and fortunate to have not only played for a school like that, but now be able to go back and, just be welcomed in the way that they did. So that was awesome. I had
Yeah.
to just start off by sharing that because I'm not sure, like I said, I don't think that happens everywhere, but at Kansas, you definitely get that.
No, it definitely doesn't happen everywhere. And I can tell you, when people have asked me about your time at KU, and I used to say that Kansas fans, the best there's the best thing about Kansas fans is that they are super passionate,
Yeah,
absolutely passionate about their basketball. The
mhm.
worst thing about Kansas fans is
They're
that they're
passionate.
super
Yeah,
passionate about their basketball.
yeah. Very,
and,
very
and
passionate.
so what I mean, like it was so when you first got there, I mean, it could be a little bit challenging for a father
Yeah.
because of the fact that not everybody embraced the Lucas time there in the very beginning, because there was this belief that maybe there was, should have been a 5-star McDonald's All-American
Mhm.
instead of you playing as much as you did. Now, obviously, that turned as the players on the court and your teammates all believed in you, and obviously Coach Self and that staff believed in you. And so then now all of a sudden it shifted to the love that you're
Yeah.
hearing and you're getting at the time, and then obviously welcoming you back, now. But I got a question for you though. So you go back there, and I've always said that, to me, Allen Fieldhouse is the single greatest place to watch a college basketball game
Mhm.
in the country. And I have been to, I've been to Cameron Indoor, and I've been to Gonzaga's place, and Wisconsin. I played at Wisconsin. So I mean, I've been to some great places where college basketball's at, but there's nothing better than Allen Fieldhouse. So I guess my question to you is has it changed at all? I mean, because you were pre-COVID, COVID
Yeah,
hit,
yeah,
now
yeah.
we're post-COVID.
Well,
Is it the
yeah.
same?
It's a good question because we had talked about it a little bit. I think it was last year, and how just after COVID, you almost got the feeling that it wasn't quite the same.
Right.
And it was that Missouri game, I think, when we talked about how this is going to be, one of the few times that these players experience that Allen Fieldhouse vibe for the
Right.
first time, because after the COVID season, it kind of felt almost dead a little bit at times, which is so rare for Allen Fieldhouse, which I believe is one of the best indoor places you could watch a sporting event in the entire United States. Now in Europe, there's some crazy spots, so I'm just going to go ahead and say United States. But I
Right.
mean, it's just it's so electric, so fun. I'll start with the negative by saying I was shocked to see for the first time, and I've played many games there and only been to a couple that I didn't play in, but I played many games there, and it was always completely, every single seat completely full. Now, I'm going to give it a little bit of a break because it was winter break. So the students weren't gone. However, the top little corner of the student section did have some empty seats, which I
The
was a little
base?
shocked.
What?
Some empty seats. Now, it may have filled out as the game went. I unfortunately was spent a lot of time in the locker room because I had a 2-year-old that wanted to play with his cars more than watch a basketball game. But there were some empty seats. Now, with that being said, the electricity in the building was still there. You
Right.
just felt it. It was electric. It was everything that I remember from my time playing there. So while there were a few empty seats and a few more Indiana fans, I must say, than I would have liked there. I mean, you can't be giving up those seats to that many Indiana fans, where they got a
Right.
chant going pregame. Now it was quickly overcome by Kansas fans, but that shouldn't be happening at home. But yeah, I mean, it was the same energy. Obviously, a big game, big matchup with a team, a good Indiana team. So it was everything that I remember outside of a few empty seats in the top corner. But yeah, I mean that place is so much fun to see a game, and then to be there, with the little ones. And yeah, Leah, the 14-year-old, got a little bit more of the experience of it because she was,
Right.
more into the game. But she couldn't believe how loud it gets in there after every bucket. And the thing about Kansas fans that you said, they're passionate, that carries over into everything. If you get a good rebound, if you get a good, if you
Right.
make a good defensive play or something, they're cheering for that, which just shows the basketball knowledge of these fans. And
Right.
that's what I remember so much and loved, is especially down the stretch of games, it'll be a close game and you'll do some small thing, get a simple defensive
Right.
rebound, and you'll get some cheers from the crowd. And it's just so
Right.
much fun. So much fun to watch a game there, especially a blowout where you just control the game from start to finish. Very, very cool environment. And if you haven't had a chance to go to Allen Fieldhouse, obviously that's just such a bucket
Oh
list
yeah,
thing that you have to check off. No question about it.
for sure. And but did you? Because I know how important this part is. What about the pregame?
The pregame
video.
video. Okay, so
What?
about the
How was
pregame
it?
video, I'll tell you this. Well, one, I'm going to give it a better grade because I was featured in it. So props to whoever.
Started it.
I
Nice.
got a little dunk in it. So yes, props to that. However, you know how they do like one pregame one, and then they do like one last. They do the Kansas one with the history and all that, and then they do like
Yeah.
one last highlight one, or not even
Right.
highlight, but like some kind of pump up one to then
Right.
carry into the game. They recycled. They recycled the. It was actually the one they used for the games against Missouri that I've seen, because in the video. It's from like a movie clip where they talk about we don't like Missouri very much or whatever.
Right. Right. Right.
However, in it is also a line about Hoosiers, or, not liking them, or something like that. And so they
So they
threw
use
that
that
up.
one.
And then obviously they transitioned to the music, and everybody goes crazy. So it was
Right.
still fun, and I get why they put it, but I was hoping to see something new, see them
Yeah. Right. Hey,
grab a different clip.
but you're yeah. You were in it. I mean, and
Yeah, I can't
so you
complain
gotta
about
you
that.
gotta you gotta be like okay for
Yes,
that one. And I'll tell you, those videos are whoever puts those together. I
bravo.
mean, definitely A plus. The
Mhm.
the the Ready or Not one is my favorite.
I
I
know
don't know
you
if
love
that's
that
your
one.
favorite or not, but that's my favorite one.
Yeah,
And so hey, it's better than what I had back in my day because we didn't even have a
video board.
video board, so there was just a guy up there with a sign and changing the score
Yeah,
back
yeah,
when I was playing. But so atmosphere was good. So what about the game itself? So
yeah,
you got a ranked team in
yeah.
Indiana that comes in, a lot of hype. They've got a first team All American center
Mhm.
that comes in. We first are already talking about, do we have the big
Mhm.
inside who can handle
Yeah,
that kind of a player? And here we
yeah,
are. So what did you think from your time, watching them in person
yeah,
against a
yeah.
first team All American?
Well, bravo to Coach Townsend. First of all, he had the scout on this game. I talked to him quite a bit before the game, and he had a good game plan as far as how to handle him. And I think that they executed extremely well. They were practicing all day. I was able to see the practice the day before the game. They were practicing just trapping the post and stuff, which Coach Self mentioned many times to the players how if I was in the game,
They
I would
wouldn't be
not allow that to happen.
right.
Because and I know that if they were to try to double anybody, I would veto that as quickly as possible, because that was a straight disrespect to my ability to guard him.
Right.
But they're still learning as far as how to guard the post one-on-one. However, that doesn't mean that traps can be even more effective at times, because it causes some havoc, some turnovers. But they executed their game plan. The scout done by Coach T was fantastic, and they created turnovers. They created havoc. I mean, the amount of turnovers that Indiana had, you just can't come back from that. And from the jump, they came out, jumped on them. So props to the scouting report. And then I thought the bigs did pretty well, and you had Zuby as the one coming into the game
Right.
to take some of those minutes, and we were wondering who was going to be that big
Right.
to emerge a little bit behind KJ, because obviously KJ's been playing great. He's playing confident. I spoke to him a little bit the day before the game as well, and he was feeling really good about the way things were going, which obviously he should.
Right.
But you have to believe that there has to be somebody else along with him, whether it's just for foul trouble reasons or whether it's to eventually play that 5 spot for significant minutes. Somebody else had to emerge, and they have 5 guys at that 5 spot. And this time it was Zuby, and he went in there, he did his job and played well. And props to him, because the first play, I think he came in and there was He had a wide open dunk he could have had, and it ended up, he kind of hesitated for a little bit and ended up getting blocked.
Right.
And you know how it can quickly kind of spiral. You're that first guy off the bench, you're feeling all good, and then one bad thing, another bad thing, and it kind of goes downhill before you hear that whistle and somebody else is subbing in for you. But he, handled it great, went out there, did those small things that Coach Self is asking of him, and ended up, putting together a pretty productive night in those 12 minutes. And so my question to you is, how do you see, this moving forward? Do you think that KJ is that answer for them? Because there's the scoring's there, the rebounding not so much, but do you think that that's okay and he's the answer for the future of the Kansas Jayhawks?
So I think when you phrase it as the answer, it makes me think of, hey, we've found our guy, and it doesn't matter who we're playing against. It doesn't matter the situation. It doesn't matter,
Mhm.
the opponent.
Yeah.
We
You just
this is our
have
guy.
your starting center.
This is our start. Yeah, and
Yeah.
we're moving forward. And I don't know if coaches at that point yet, and for a couple of little pieces that give you that insight. And one of it is when you start looking at the box score for him, and you think, okay, so let me pull his up here. So he had so he played
26
26
minutes.
minutes,
Yeah.
11 points, couple of assists, and a couple of rebounds.
2.
Yeah. And so, when you start thinking about that center position, they are so talented in so many areas on the outside. It feels like I would, if it's me, I want to see more from that position. I want to see more rebounding. I want to see more of that physicality inside. I mean, he does have some of that explosiveness, of course, because he's such an
Yeah.
amazing athlete. But I think that there's still pieces that are missing. But what I think you can do is you can take somebody like a Zuby, right, and you can pair him together,
Mhm.
and now you have that center. It's almost like in pieces,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
Well,
so
we used to talk about
know,
that. I know before I had been able to solidify myself, what Coach
right,
Self would do is just put some numbers on the board. Hey, we need 20 and 10 from this position.
right,
I don't care who gives it to us. It could be
right,
4 guys, but from that position, we need 20 points and 10 rebounds, and keep it simple like that. And I think that that's something that they can do. However, they're not even getting close to 10 rebounds, and stuff. And
right,
that's the problem that I see, because something that you and I would always talk about, and this is on the extreme end of things, but it's a rebound every 2 minutes you're in the game.
right,
And that is what I would always shoot for and set as my goal. So if I played, 20 minutes, I was hoping to get 10 rebounds,
right,
and that's a little bit of a stretch, but that's what you should be aiming for, especially when you're out there and you're in a situation where ball rebounds just should come to you. We always talked about how if you're in the game he plays 26 minutes, those 2 rebounds are 2 rebounds that probably should have just fallen into his hands,
right.
and
Yeah, I
so
mean,
you
just
would
a couple
hope.
times off of a free throw on the free throw lane,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
should
yeah,
get a
exactly.
couple just
Yeah,
from that alone.
yeah,
But I tell you, where I think this is going to come into play, and it hasn't had to because of the fact that they've been blowing teams
yeah.
out, right? But wait till you start getting into closer games. And what's the most important thing when you have close games? And that is possessions,
Mhm. Yeah, no,
right?
every possession matters for sure.
Every possession matters. And so you start thinking about rebounds, and you start thinking about especially offensive rebounds when you're
Yeah.
giving Kansas extra possessions that they would not have ultimately have had unless you went and got them.
Mhm.
That's where I can see you're going against the Texas where you're like, man, we're not blowing them out. I mean, we are
Mhm.
we are in a dogfight. That's when I can see where you start going, hey, that column where it says rebounding, that's not enough. I mean,
Yeah.
luckily, again, they've got, the Big Dick and Wilson, those guys are rebounding down, and they're doing a pretty good
And
job
that's the thing
of
that
making
we
up
have to
for it.
give a shout out to, because Wilson, he's pretty much almost averaging. I think he is averaging 10 a game, but let me see exactly what he's averaging. He's averaging nine and a half a game, so almost
Right,
10 a game from a guard. And then you
right,
got a guy like Kevin, who comes in and gets 11 for you, with 10 defensive rebounds. Like, you have guards that are rebounding, which is great because that's making up for a lot of it. And that could be a part of, how they go about this moving forward. I just think that, you're going to need, like you said, there's going to be those big games where you need a big that's going to steal you a couple extra possessions. And then at the end of games, get those rebounds, because you know how it is and how important it is. And I live for these moments, but at the end of the game, you get a stop, the ball's up in the air, you just have to finish that stop off by completing
right,
it, getting the rebound. And
right.
that's something that I feel like is going to be a little bit of a issue, a little bit of a question, whether they are going to be able to do that and close out games like that. And like you said, in league, you're going to get close games. So whether that comes from KJ, whether that comes from someone else, we'll see. KJ is playing his ass off right now. He's doing everything that he needs to
Right.
on this team in these games where they're just steamrolling. He's being very active, doing all those things. And now you're getting Zuby coming in and giving some good minutes as well. But I'm curious to see, ultimately, I think that they're going to need more rebounds from that center position. And it's going to come from one of these guys who steps up. And Coach Self, he's in practice. I saw, a little bit of it. He's emphasizing those things that we talk about on this podcast, which is just those simple things.
Right.
Screen, roll hard, dunk the ball, rebound the ball, play good post defense. Those small things that he's asking of these bigs, it's not, it's anything crazy. And
Right.
so, I want to see over this is an important time. We've talked about it before, but this winter break heading into, a lot of extra time to practice, less games to worry about. This is a time where you got 5 guys who are in practice that should be battling it out every single day as if it were your games, and then earning those minutes and earning those opportunities in a game. I have a question as far
Yep.
as moving forward. They're handling business and everything. The last 2 games have been great, but now you have a little bit of that trap game coming up.
Right.
And you know how it is. I know how it is. And I've been on both ends of it. I've been on the positive end where you just,
Right.
blow through and then continue on and go enjoy your Christmas. I've also been on the other end where you struggle, and then all you're worried about when you're back home is coming back to school and what those practices are going to be like.
Right.
How are you handling this Harvard game coming up, knowing that between now and I believe the 31st is when the league play starts, you have that one game against Harvard.
Yeah.
How are you handling this coming off against 2 blowout wins? You're now a top 5 team again. There's people talking about, can this team go back to back, all that. You're thinking about going home and getting some home cooking from the family and opening presents and all that stuff. How are you as a coach and the coaching staff making sure you approach and handle this Harvard game on Thursday?
So that's a good question. And, especially a team like Harvard,
Yeah.
it can be difficult to get your players up and excited. I mean, they were, I would no doubt, were probably very pumped for a top team and national television and all that stuff. So that's easy. A Harvard game when the kids are not even in school and you're just ready to go home and get some home cooking, like you said, that can be very difficult. So I think what you'll find as a coach is that we've got to use this time to really emphasize getting better. And it probably is similar to what preseason look like. So for instance, before before we even got started, when everybody's talking about KU football, which by the way, what happened to them? Anyway, it's this whole second point.
What about them? They're in a bowl game.
They were like all college game days here. They lost like 3 or 5 or something like that.
I'll tell you one thing. I would trade every single year that I was there for a 6-win bowl game season. I mean, that for us is huge and such a step forward for the program. Come on, you can't. That's huge. It's all relative. I know you're an Oregon fan, so it's like, if you get a 6-win season, it's the end of the world. But I mean, for Kansas football,
get fired for 6 wins out here, man. We don't mess with that anymore.
Yeah.
But anyway, so all I'm saying is that when everybody was talking about football and it was preseason and all that, what were they doing? Well, they were just doing the basic stuff, like really just trying to get people into positions and trying to figure out rotations and trying to figuring out kind of just the drills, right? And so I think what you do is you take the first, because they played how many games so far?
They are 11 games in right now.
Right, 11 games. So you take that as a coaching staff, you're going to go through and kind of revisit those 11 games and really start picking out, man, we've done pretty good with these areas. Gosh, there's these areas that we haven't done so well in. Maybe it is the rebounding. Who knows? Maybe it is the post defense and the fact that we can't have somebody by themselves guard a good post player. We've got to send help, which then makes us vulnerable on the perimeter. It's like we can start taking all of these pieces and start really working on them during this off season, because of the Farris off season. But during this break, because this is the time. We don't have 2 Big 12 road games against 2 ranked teams that we have to worry too much about. They could show up, play all of the not one starter, and still should win this game by double digits very easily, right? So to me, this is the time to just kind of work on the basics. And now you have some game film to be able to show some guys, get some video time, really showing some breakdowns of what guys are doing and rotations and how are they, with rebounding, with respect to rebound. Listen, this is something you can teach. The ball goes up. You can locate your man. You can put a body on them before you go. Don't just turn around and have somebody jump right over top of you. I mean, these are these little things that you can work on at this point in time. And the last thing I'll say is that I would tell them that if they lost Harvard, that they shouldn't even come back because because they're done. They're not going to want to come back when he gets done with them.
Yeah, and I hope that they all know that. I learned that with Temple, and I know how quickly a nice little good season going into a break can turn into hell week as far as practices go. But I agree with you. This is a time to work on those things, and obviously we talk a lot about the bigs. So props to the guards; they're playing well, and everything. But as far as bigs and how I would handle it is what you said. In practice, you can simulate a lot of those things. And luckily, you have 5 bigs that are 5 really good bigs, better than a lot of the ones you're going to be playing against. And so it's an opportunity now to take advantage of, hey, we don't need to worry about, that extra rest because we have back-to-backs coming up or anything. This is the time to not only teach and practice things, but also see who emerges. And I would do a lot of live stuff, a lot of live rebounding drills. I remember I got this front tooth it's a fake tooth knocked out by Joel Embiid doing war rebounding, which is a drill where pretty much there are no rules.
No rules,
You just throw the ball up and it goes off the rim and you could tackle each other, whatever it takes. You just play until someone gets a rebound and puts it back. And, it sounds crazy, but that kind of stuff, it simulates that competition, but it also gives people that mindset of how to attack rebounds in a different way that, when you're going through 50% practices, working on scouting report or whatever it may be, you're not getting that physicality and that simulation. And you get in the preseason, but you also get it during these stretches of long breaks and stuff. And And then, as you said, working on that post defense. You don't want to be relying on traps too often, especially when you run into good bigs who are able to pass comfortably out of passes. You want
Right.
to work on those things. And there's some really simple thing. It starts from the guy running down the court. You meet him early, you misdirect him, then you get a hand around, then you
Right.
make sure that you're three-quartering, deterring the pass to get him off the block. If he catches it, you know where to keep your arm to keep some pressure on him. You can't let him come up to your body and use it to go each way. Then if he picks up his dribble, you wall up. All these things that you drill that stuff over and over again until those guys are familiar with it and comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And then while you're drilling it, you're also getting competition in practice. And I think that that's going to be huge for this team, because while the guards are on the other end when we break out and they're going through and they're doing their little shots and stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
and doing their little dribble weaves and stuff, the bigs during this, next few weeks heading into Big 12 play should just be battling,
Right.
battling on defense, working on that defense, offense stuff, battling, working on how to create angles for yourself, and then battling, working on that rebounding piece, because those guys should be hungry to get every single rebound that is even close to their area, and then even working on, getting some out of area stuff. And this is a time to do it. And I think that obviously Coach Self knows that. Obviously they have the personnel to do it. They're not dealing with, we got these guys hurt, we only got one big going against, a walk-on big as a scout. It's not like that right now. You got 5 guys who can start on many teams. Cam Martin, who he's not even really getting a ton of minutes and stuff. I just found out that I believe he was like NAI or Division II or something, but he was like a 3-time All-American or something. Like, that's a legit player who's starting for many teams. And out of 5 guys, he's probably one of the lower options. But it's one of those situations where you can create that competition and then hopefully have some guys that emerge. And that's going to be the best way to handle it, because if you create that in practice, it's going to carry over into that game against Harvard. You should smack them, go home, enjoy your time, and then come back and be able to get ready for league play.
Well, one thing I will say though, we do have to give them a little bit of a break in one area, in the sense that, all the stuff that you talked about, meeting them early and 3-quartering and all that, that's stuff that you had been doing your whole life.
Yeah.
So that's, what I mean? And so that's not something that, because if you think about it, if you're a 6'9" kid in high school, you probably don't have to do most of those.
It's a good point.
Right?
It's because a good point. Yeah.
The ball comes off the rebound, you can just turn, jump up, and you just jump behind.
You're more athletic.
Right, you're just more athletic. You just go get them, and then you end up at Kansas, and then you realize, oh crap, there are 6'11" kids who are just as athletic, and oh, by the way, you're going to have to put a body on them, and you're going to have to do some things to them. Same thing defensively. You could almost just stand behind the 6'6" center that they're playing against. Right, exactly right. So when you're dealing with these young players inside, these are the things that you were taught when you were younger. These are things that need to be taught in a lot of cases, taught now, and saying, hey, it's important for you to realize you can't just stand behind somebody.
And
the jumper's going to kill you.
And that's something that you just, there's small little tips and tricks that I know that, they'll learn. And I've been in contact with Coach Roberts a lot. He's been trying to group me into talking with those guys. I'll try to make another trip out to go over some stuff with them as well. But it's stuff that you can develop you talk about high school and stuff, which I got some experience in high school, but where I really learned was by my freshman year, when I knew I wasn't really going to play much. And so in practice, I'd make it like a game. And the guy I was going against was Joel Embiid. And so it was like, okay, how do I stop him today to get to the point where, I know he's improved a lot since his college days, but I was able to, stop him in practice and stuff, because that was, so then when I'm going against someone who's not Joel Embiid, it's like, okay, well, this is a little bit easier. But that was where it started, was in practice. I wasn't developing the tips and tricks and knowledge of positioning and all that stuff and how to handle a cross screen and where my position should be and all that stuff in games. I was doing that in practice. And so,
Right.
so
Right.
this is the time to do it. I believe that they will. And hopefully they take advantage of this, and hopefully you start to see some guys, start to emerge. But let's get to our sub in, sub out, so we can wrap this thing up. And let's talk about the team as a whole. I know we talk about the bigs a lot, but I want to know, are you subbing in or subbing out that this rotation, this tight rotation that they have, is good for the team? Because right now you have a situation where they played 7 guys over 10 minutes in their last game, and one of those guys was at 12 minutes. And so really about a 6-man rotation. Is this good for the team moving forward?
So I'm going to sub out.
Okay.
And I'm going to say that I normally would agree that a tight rotation is important, but I agree with that when we start getting deep into conference play. I think at this point in time, as we just talked about for 15 minutes, about this is the time, and the non-conference is the time for that that I feel that I would like to see players getting out there and getting some real game opportunities. And so what I'm saying is that coach must not be seeing enough in practice to warrant that. So I understand that. And so that's the problem. So your question is, should it be tight or should it not be tight? I don't think it should be tight at this point in time. I wish that he had more confidence in players, that he could get to 9 or 10. Like, you're not playing everybody, but there should be way more players that are getting more significant time now, because you go from this many down to 7 tops. Maybe it spills to an 8, but that's rare, to where you're going into battle knowing exactly who's playing, your exact rotation. You could know just from, as a player, just from the clock, barring any type of situations of fouls or anything, you could be like, oh, I know it's coming for me. I could turn and start running off. That's what we want to get to. But the fact that we're here now is, conceivably, to me, there's something wrong there, because we should still have a lot more players that are in the mix to make this rotation. So I'm going to sub out on that one. I don't think it's good.
Okay, well, I'll sub in, and here's why. One, you got 4 guys that are solidified their position. You got DeJuan Harris, Kevin McCullough, Grady Dick, and Jalen Wilson, which they are playing great from top to bottom. I mean, DeJuan Harris and his point guard, he's such a great point guard. As far as you talk, like true point guards, able to manage the game, distribute the ball, all that stuff. He's great. And then you got 3 great wings. So, like, that's solid. Now, where I'm going to say the reason why I say I think it's a good thing having this tight rotation is for the reason that I think that giving guys the minutes to go out there and not feel like they're looking over their shoulder is a good thing. I don't mean that guys shouldn't be getting opportunities. I just think it should be game to game at this point. I would like to see what Zuby looks like with 25 minutes. I would like to see what, Uday looks like with 25 minutes, or Clemens looks like with that amount of time. I'm not saying the reason I'm subbing in is because I don't want to see a situation where all these guys are splitting the 40-minute game, and then you end up having, 10 minutes, 9 minutes, 11 minutes, like here and there. I want to see whoever's, hooping in practice and doing their thing and earning that time, going out there and getting minutes in the game where it's that significant, how it is. There's a difference between going out there and playing 2-minute spurts and going out there and getting into the rhythm of the game, the flow of the game, and seeing what they do. Because there's something that you might find out about that guy that either eliminates him from it or is something like, okay, we can work with that. I liked what I saw as he wore on the defense. Something that I remember that I would do is if you continue to go after offensive rebounds over and over again, you're going to, as the game goes on, those are going to start coming your way because it's just relentless effort that guys are just going to get tired of having to turn and box you out every time. And just small things like that, whatever it may be, everyone's different. But I think that with that extended amount of time on the court, you can just see more. So the reason I'm subbing in is not because I think that guys shouldn't be getting opportunities. I think you have 4 guys who are solidified, but for that 5 spot, I would like to see it still be this tight rotation where you're going to get a big that's playing 25 minutes plus.
Right.
But I think who that big is, I would like to see guys step up and get those opportunities to have a chance to show Coach Self, hey, I can be that guy for long spurts of time. And like we've always said, that starts in practice, but I would love to see what those guys can do with a 20-plus minute game.
Yeah. I hear you. I agree.
Yeah,
I mean, listen, in the end, in Bill we trust, right? And so
Coach if anybody knows what they're doing, it's him.
It's
obviously.
him. So,
and his whole mindset.
It,
his whole mindset is March anyways. And so all that's going on right now is in preparation for how this team is going to be come tournament time. And so he knows what he's doing. He knows the right strings to pull and to, mess with and stuff. I think it's more than anything a challenge to those bigs to step up. And I think he's willing and wanting to play them more. It's just about them stepping up. And I could see during my time in Kansas and just short period watching as much of practice as I could with a 2-year-old wanting to run around. But as much as practice as I could and seeing the walkthrough and stuff, they want those bigs to step up and take advantage of those opportunities. It's just about them actually doing it. And until they do, I think you're going to see more of the same. But hopefully those guys get a message, like we've said before, this is the time to do it before it gets too deep into Big 12 play, because at that point, tight rotation is going to, solidify even more and more. And you're not going to see those opportunities that I think you're mentioning, wanting to see, which is just, see how these guys do in the game. But Coach Self is not going to just throw you out there to look a fool either. So
well, I'm just looking forward to seeing how this plays out. It's gonna be a fun year, for sure.
I still think that my prediction before, as far as this team potentially being better than last year's team, I think is still on pace. And I think that if you look at where this team was compared to where last year's team was around this time, I think it's even better. And on top of it, you have a younger team that has more room to grow. Whereas last year's team, they were figuring out some things with David McCormick and all that. And obviously it all came together, perfectly towards the end of things. But if you just look at where we are with things, I mean, I think this team has a lot of potential. And if Grady Dick keeps playing like he does, and if those guards keep playing like they are, and you get a big, whether it's KJ, whether it's somebody else that solidifies himself as that 30-minute a game big that gets you 10 and 10, all of a sudden this team was pretty damn good, with some depth to it as well, in case there are any injuries or foul trouble. So I like what I'm seeing. I like what I saw there, and being able to go back and see everything in person was awesome. Such a great experience, and hopefully I can get back out there again sometime soon. I'm talking with the coaches, so hopefully we can schedule some. I'll get out there and now.
You said get back out there. I thought you meant play. Like get it back out there and play. That's what it sounded like. I just want to get back out there in the court, man.
Yeah. No, that's not happening anytime soon. But yeah, no, just get back out there and without two little ones with me, so I have more time to do other things. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching that game. That's now back-to-back weeks as a Kansas fan, where you can just sit back, enjoy the weekend, enjoy the week, and everything. And hopefully there's one more so you can enjoy the holidays as well as a fan and as a player. More importantly, as a player than anything.
Right.
But yeah,
Right.
Harvard coming up on Thursday. They just got to handle one more game, and then you can go
Yeah.
off and enjoy your Christmas.
That's awesome. Well, hey, by the way, I meant to tell you, I probably should have said something sooner, but you wear that black shirt and then you got the black
Oh,
background
it's like a
and you look like
floating
a
head.
floating head.
I
You just look
know.
like a floating head
I
in
gotta
there.
I gotta work on. Well, I still need to update stuff. I gotta get a better camera. So you could there's a with the right camera, you're able to see, the difference and stuff. But
Yeah, it's all blends out. You just like a floating head. Matter of fact, you look like a floating head that's sponsored by Nike. I didn't know that Nike sponsors floating heads
floating
now.
heads. Anyways, yes, no, I will.
Anyway,
That's a good point. I should probably not wear black on black.
right,
That's some
right. That's right.
whatever. At
We all
least
got
it's
to up our game. I got to up my game too.
I
So,
know you got a mess in the background and everything. All right, we're getting
hey, we
off
got a
track.
job to do. We got a show to put on, man.
Yeah.
Worry about backgrounds.
All that matters is there's some people that aren't even watching this. They're just listening to it as a podcast. So those people,
Oh,
it's just our
that's
nice
right.
voices breaking down Kansas basketball and really just the big men, because we spend hardly any time talking about the guards, but they're playing so well. It's like, what's the point? They're just continue to do your
Let's
thing.
put it this way. Guards are really good.
Yeah.
There you go. There's your analysis.
If you're curious about how the guards on the team are, just know that they're doing their thing. So, all right. Well, I'm not sure exactly when our next episode will be, but maybe we'll do something around Christmas or a Big 12 preview going into Big 12 play, because it's going to be fun. There's a lot of good competition, a lot of tough tests. We're going to have that episode. I know it's coming, where we sit here and we go, what's this team going to do? And I don't know what that question is going to be. I don't know, what's going to cause it, but we know it's coming. So
where's our next guest? You're in charge of
I'm so bad at that. I knew we were filming today, and then like 3 hours before I was like, oh shoot, I got to get a guest, and then I didn't. But I'll get one. I talked to some of the players when I was there, and Grady was actually a real nice guy. He was, Kansas guy, so he grew up watching and everything. So we'll get him on, and the coaches were asking if we were going to have them on. So I'm just I take full responsibility for my procrastination of things, but we'll get some guests. I thought we're doing pretty well as a little duo too, though. So I mean,
I always enjoy it. I love talking to obviously my son, and then of course basketball. But I also think that insight with guests is probably something that folks want to listen to. But don't take my word for it. If you are listening and you've been on this whole time, and you would like to hear specific guests that you want on, or if there's a player that you want on, or a topic you want us to cover, this is your show. The Glue Guys, that's what we do. We work for you. That's what we do, right? We do the dirty work for you. So we'll get who you want on. I can't guarantee probably Coach Self right now, but we can get most other people on if we need to.
Yeah. No, we will, and I'll work on that. Next show, I will start tomorrow. Okay,
that sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening to another episode. And obviously, like he said, leave comments. We appreciate the feedback. Like, subscribe to the Field of 68 for more shows. And we will be back with a new episode next week. See you guys.